Hello, everyone. Am I on? I had a bit of a nightmare there. Streamlabs was updating, so I apologise for the delay. How's everyone doing? I'm not early. I'm 5 minutes late. Have the clocks gone back? Anyway, yeah, I am alive. I know I don't exactly look it due to the fact there's a chunk missing out of that eyebrow. Rest assured, I'm not engaging in Mortal Kombat into my 40s. That is a result of a uniform Delta India, or also known as an unidentified drinking injury. Either I scuffed it on the floor when I fell over because I could barely walk, or a rat chewed it when I was sleeping in the bush that I decided to catch 40 winks in because I was completely incapable of walking. So it was one of those two things. No, I haven't been plugging. Shall I? Yeah. The photo you're looking at is the event I was supposed to be attending. And I couldn't go because when you live in the United States and you try to use the NHS app, it decides that it needs to validate who you are. And then when they said, sorry, we need 48 hours to find out your identity, we'll put you on a flight on Sunday. And my response was, yes, but I've got an event on Friday, so that's no fucking use to me whatsoever. They were like, yeah, cheers then. And that was that. So I couldn't go. Nightmare. Brandon supporters. No, there's mercifully few of them out here in the sticks. So yeah, what happens in the bush stays in the bush. Yeah, that's good. Fortunately, I do have a talent for growing pubes, so I'm sure my eyebrow will reform momentarily. So yeah, I missed the event. There we go. Looked good, didn't it? I have to make up for it by drinking about the same amount as I would if I was there, you see. Hence, sleeping in a bush. Right. First thing I want to talk about, I'm sure you're all sick of fucking hearing about it, is major supply chain issues, right? The issue with this is, it's doing my head in. How long do we think they're going to run off the fumes of Brexit for? Like, is this just going to be every single time there's any issue at all for the next 30 years? They're just going to go, Brexit, Brexit. Because it's fucking global. It's a global problem. I do not understand how it's a story other than a story about the global supply chain issue. And this isn't just my opinion. It's a fucking fact. I've shared several stories on the community tab on YouTube from the last few days, illustrating at great length the sheer volume of the problem. Going to the grocery store here in Central California, there's fucking empty shelves. We couldn't get any tortilla chips, which first world problems. I'm not saying it's the end of the world that I couldn't get any tortilla chips, but the shelves are bare. There's a global supply chain issue. And this tweet from Andrew Neil, obviously addressing it, major problems with US supply chains cause massive buildup of container ships off Los Angeles and Long Beach ports. That's like, I think it's the second biggest port in the world. Predictions of Christmas shortages. It's a global issue. And yet they will not stop talking about it. Hello, Rotten, how are you doing? I couldn't check out Rotten Politics video earlier, but what was the grand announcement? Website, I think he said he was working on. I've been trying to do one for about 6 months, but I'm fantastically lazy. And obviously I was working full-time on the side and procrastinating terribly. But I've been trying to get a website made. I'll get to it one of these days. Anyway, yeah, when it goes live, please check it out. For opinions almost identical to mine, right? I mean, we all like being stuck in a circle jerk, don't we? But yeah, that is just an issue that is doing my head in. I don't see how we can spend the next 30 years blaming every single issue on Brexit. It's already happened. It's long gone. We're out and we're not going back in. Okay, maybe I was being premature there. We might possibly end up back in at some point in the future. But only if there is an enormous political landslide and a load of commies win the next 3 fucking elections and then someone starts running on a platform of it. But basically, we left ages ago, we're out. To now, every single time there is a fucking problem, go on and start whinging about Brexit. It's childish and it's going to get boring very, very quickly, isn't it? Because guess what? Real life is complicated. There's a lot of issues. Every day there's an issue. It's not like you turn on the fucking TV one day and the news reporter's like, today there is no news. Fuck it. We've got none. Now there must be something. No. Nothing happened yesterday. It doesn't happen. Because life is complicated. You've got 8 billion violent chimps running around on planet Earth. Shit goes wrong every day of the week. So there's never going to be a day when there isn't a problem that the media in the UK, the establishment, the MSM, the fucking Ramonas, even though we left, a year ago, they're still complaining about it. There's never going to be a day when that isn't something that they're going to bring up. Oh, fucking hell, Brexit. There was a rape in Clapham, Brexit. What do you mean? It's going to get old very, very quickly. So can we just please, every time you hear this fucking bullshit, make it known, like, listen, it's a global problem. And the next one will be a global problem, whatever the issue is. It'll be something to do with Afghanistan or global economic collapse. We are overdue a major economic hiccup, aren't we? We're overdue. It's been, 13 years since the last one? 12? Something like that. What was it, 2008? The big financial collapse? We're overdue. There's going to be one. And the markets are going to melt down from Shanghai to Stoke-on-Trent to San Francisco. And these boring bastards are going to go, Brexit. Brexit that. I mean, it's laughable. It's just annoying because it's boring. I don't mind being entertained by stupidity. Corbyn was a great example of that. Like, I seriously, I know this sounds a bit ridiculous, but I almost prefer Corbyn to Boris Johnson. Because at least Corbyn did exactly what it said on the tin. Corbyn was an open, out-and-out communist, and he was happy to tell everybody he was a communist. Boris Johnson, the betrayal by Boris Johnson and the current Conservative Party is the worst I've ever seen in my political lifetime. Worse than Tony Blair, because everybody knew what type of creature Tony Blair was, really. He sort of hoodwinked a lot of Labour voters, but Boris Johnson ran on a manifesto that was openly conservative. If you read the manifesto, in fact, I could do that tomorrow. Maybe I can bring it up and we'll walk through it in slow time. But basically, he ran on a conservative, openly conservative manifesto, a liberal manifesto that specifically mentioned British values, maintaining British values, not pissing on our history. And then he got in power and started doing Keir Starmer shit. I mean, one step away from Jeremy Corbyn shit, basically. Denigrating our institutions and our fucking country. Talking shit. Not standing up against the mobs, pulling down statues. Constantly going on about climate change as if he's a hippie. Like, eating his tofu in a wigwam. Talking about bastard climate change. I mean, that is a fucking betrayal. The worst that in my 41 years I've ever seen. Because he ran on a conservative manifesto and we got this limp-wristed lefty. I mean, see, who the fuck who votes conservative is obsessed with climate change? Well, it seems to be their biggest issue. And like I've talked about many times, I've crunched the numbers. If India and China and Africa are just gonna, and the continent of Africa are just gonna constantly spew out people and build coal fucking power plants, there is no need for us to take any action at all. What we're gonna do? Beggar ourselves, decimate our economy, get rid of all the jobs, make everybody fucking miserable. You can't eat meat, you can't drive where you want, you're not allowed to go on holiday, you've got no fucking money. To do what? Drag the temperature down 0.00001 degrees centigrade Celsius because fucking China and India and the entire continent of Africa have done nothing. It's completely pointless. Conservatives believe in keeping things the way they are, maintaining order. We are the forces of order standing against the forces of chaos, and we want things to remain consistent and logical and reasonable. And if you have to make changes, you make very small changes in very small increments. We didn't vote for this climate fucking shit. Talking about not eating any meat, making it so you only have meat twice a week. I didn't vote for that. I don't want to eat fucking cockroaches. Thank you very much, fatty. And the other reason why it annoys people so much is because, and this is my biggest issue with it, this twat won't be doing it himself, will he? All of these climate change measures they're only gonna affect you. Because if you think Prince Harry and me again fucking Mardy arse, or Boris Johnson, or fucking Bill Gates, or anyone else who's talking about it constantly, Al Gore, if you think those people aren't going to be eating fucking steak and flying on private jets everywhere they want to go, you've got an head full of cow shit. You've got another thing coming. The rules are for you. They're not for them. You see them at all these dinners when they're wearing the masks in front of cameras like that. And then the second the camera's fucking gone, you see them all getting pissed with, remember when they're all watching the Red Arrows and drinking fucking 200 quid bottles of champagne? They're eating steak. They're drinking champagne, they're eating steak, and they're flying on private jets. John Kerry, he's got more bastard air miles than Phileas Fogg, John Kerry. I mean, he does more flying than fucking Icarus. And apparently, he's looking after the environment. John fucking Kerry, that piece of shit. Another self-serving shitbag politician. So, just reject it completely. I reject it completely. I told you, I reject it so thoroughly. I'm that close to stopping walking everywhere out of spite. It's like, I walk everywhere. Me and my missus, we do loads of walking, loads of hiking. I reckon she told me that when we were living in Alabama, she wore a watch and she did one of those sort of interactive exercise apps. And then after a week, it told her, you walk more than 99.9% of the entire state. Because we do, like, we walk fucking loads. If the gym's a mile and a half away, we'll walk to the gym, work out and walk back. We'll go, it's good, we had a nice long workout. We walk to the grocery store, we walk to the fucking, I'm going to drop the car off at the mechanics today and I'm going to walk home. It's like 2 miles. That's what we do. Because we're healthy. I do it predominantly because I know it's good for my mental and physical health. But I'm so annoyed about it. I fancy being a fat, lazy bastard. Like, if I didn't know it'd cripple my mental health and my physical, well, not cripple it, some fucking nails, but negatively affect my physical and mental health, I'd fucking rap. That's how angry I am about this climate change shit. Because it's the chippy northern working class part of me that gets enraged by it. Because I know they're not doing it. Like I said, Prince Harry on his private jet. They fly everywhere on private jets. It's unfucking believable. John Kerry, he doesn't fly coach. He doesn't. At least if you fly coach, you're doing the journey with 200 other people. They dupe the numbers to make the climate footprint look smaller than it is. So they go, oh yeah, so let's tally up the fucking climate. It's like, no, if you're on a private jet, that fucking plane is in the sky purely for you. When you're a fucking bricklayer and you take the wife and kids to Spain, there's 300 people on the same plane. So it's not that big a deal. It's like carpooling times 200. The plane's going anywhere. There's 100 people on the fucker. So if you tack your wife and kids on, it's not that big a deal. When these arseholes use private jets. Leonardo DiCaprio, oh, I'll talk about the climate. Lewis Hamilton talks about the climate and he drives a fucking 20-litre car in circles for no reason for a living. For a living. How fast do you think you'd gas yourself if you put a fucking hose pipe in a Formula 1 car, stuck it through your window? You'd be dead in half a second. Like, these people are poisoning the world and they're having a pop at me. Like, I find it doesn't just irritate me, make me angry. I find it fucking offensive. Again, I don't like going on about offensive because when I'm saying I'm offended, I'm not saying anyone needs to silence anybody or quiet anybody down or change the subject. When I say I'm offended, what I mean is I'm so fucking angry, I could rip my own head off in fucking frustration. That's what, it's offensive. It's offensive because you think I'm a moron. Climate change is for you to ignore and me to deal with, the little guy. So you guys, 300 of us can't go to Spain, but John Kerry can put an aircraft in the fucking sky just for him. And he can do it as much as he likes. And Leonardo DiCaprio can do it, and Lewis Hamilton can drive a fucking 90-litre car, and you're not allowed a Mini Cooper. Fuck off. It's bollocks. So they can smoke my fucking hat. I'm not interested in climate change. People, and I'm sure, you know, my opponents will see this and go, oh my God, it's a climate change now. No, I never have been. I never have been. I think the science does suggest that the amount of human activity, obviously we are causing pollution, and I'm sure the pollution, if a car's dangerous enough to kill you, although I will say it doesn't happen very often anymore, does it? Because the catalytic converters and the engineering is so good that it's actually hard to gas yourself with a car. Some people might not know that, but it's hard to gas yourself with your car now. Nowadays, people put the fucking hose pipe through the window, suicidal kids, stick it in the fucking thing, turn the ignition off, and 25 minutes later, they've just got a fucking raging headache. It won't kill them. Because, as usual, and this has been my whole point with the climate change debate since the beginning, we'll find a way to deal with it. Technology and science, the scientific method that we employ as intellectual chimps, I'm confident it will find us a way out of it without us needing to change the fucking world completely. Incremental steps, which, like I keep saying, I do support. Little incremental steps. Encourage people to recycle. Encourage people to walk more. But don't fucking tell me, you sneaky, lying, rat-faced shitbag, someone like John Kerry or Prince fucking Harry, who's on a private bastard jet every fucking month. Don't dare tell me I shouldn't be taking the kids on holiday, you fucking chopper. That is all I've got to say on climate change for the day. And if anyone brings it up again, just give them both barrels. It's fucking bollocks. This supply chain shit. Brexit, fuck off. Don't be bringing that up every single ill that befalls us for the next 30 years, you boring bastard. Seriously. Anyway. Yeah, there's a tweet I sent to this fucking dickhead. Some posh bloke. Can you hear him? I haven't got my speakers on.
Recently,
some posh twat. Listen to this kid.
Politicians have feelings, and you have to feel sorry for Boris. As you've said earlier on the show, he has gone through so much recently. Lost his mother. He's had a baby. He's dealt with this enormous challenge that's faced the country over the past 18 months. I feel we need to cut him some slack. Yeah. Allow him to enjoy his holiday in the Costa del Sol. Why are we scrutinising him for just taking a small break to allow himself to enjoy life as much as we all want to enjoy life? I don't see why we are being so harsh on politicians.
Yeah.
And we saw...
Well, as I said in the comment, we're being so harsh, shit lips, because we voted for a bloke who ran on a manifesto who talked about Churchill and liberalism, and now he behaves like some insufferable left-wing fucking Guardian reader. I voted for him. That's what makes me hate him, right? It's all right if you merely dislike a bloke because you didn't vote for him anyway. But when you voted for him and he does the exact opposite of everything that he stands for, that his Conservative Party apparently stands for, that his fucking manifesto said, it's like he's personally fucked me. It's like he's been round my house, took a dump on my living room floor and fingered my missus and fucked off. I'm personally aggrieved. I hate him more than Corbyn, right? Does that make sense? It's like, it's personal. I voted for him and he did all the opposite of what he said he was going to do. So now I hate him. That's why. You fucking dickhead. Some posh twat. Yeah, Sadwings, how we miss Reagan and Thatcher. Indeed. Fucking hell. They're not fit to carry the lunchbox. Thatcher especially, I mean. Phone call. Fuck off. It's just constant spam out here. Chinese people, every time you answer your bastard phone nowadays, it's a robot speaking Chinese. It's a Chinese robot. I think they're telegraphing the future of war. Chinese robots are going to be the bane of our life, both via the telephone and in the next armed conflict. It's going to be Chinese robots that fuck us. Yeah, so what else was I going to talk about? This is a good story because it illustrates just how overbearing the left are when it comes to the state, right? Because something like this, again, it's the parallels between the modern left, the woke, and the religious right are quite astounding, aren't they? They're almost identical, which is the point I've said many times, which is why I'm a sort of lapsed liberal, is because when I was in my early 20s, all of my issues were with the conservative right, because they seem to constantly involve themselves in private issues, which to the sort of Lockean, Disraeli, liberal conservative from England seem overbearing. You know, I don't want powerful politicians or religious leaders involving themselves in my sex life or my personal life in general. Drinking, smoking, gambling, vice is what the religious right were against. Personal freedoms, they hated Dungeons and Dragons and would say, oh my God, Dungeons and Dragons is going to make you into a fucking devil worshipper. And I used to laugh at the religious right when I was in my early 20s and be like, haha, these guys just don't get it. But now, the woke are exactly the same. And like I said, this is the point I keep making is, I think that's why the right is growing. And like I said, conservative YouTube is where it's at now. Like, despite the fact that Silicon Valley are purposely silencing all of our channels, like I said, Rotten Politics, Paz, lads like that who've been hard at work for years should have much bigger platforms than they do. You know, we're unnaturally suppressed. And still, right-wing YouTube is fucking class. There's dozens of really good channels with really good communities, like this one, but bigger, where people are talking sense. And it's centrist, good old-fashioned common sense. It's not reactionary. It's not far-right. It's not nationalist. Well, maybe a little bit, but again, that's not a dirty word. The people who just like the country and like the flag and don't think it's a bad thing to like your country when there's so many fucked up, overbearing, fascist states in the world. It's a good community. And it's because we're right. Like a lot of people say, right, it's not far-right or right-wing, it's just right. And this is a good example of this overreaching, overbearing, basically fascism from the people that call everybody else a fascist. AOC calls everyone a fascist. He's a fascist, he's a fascist. Basically, they've got the standard now because they're attacking Tulsi Gabbard. I know you guys are aware of it. I'm a big fan of Tulsi Gabbard over here. She's a good centrist politician. And they're having a go at her because she's not down with the T bit of the LGBT fucking acronym. And she's basically saying, well, like me, she supports trans people to live their lives however they want. But you don't have the right to force your fucking 9-inch clitoris down a lesbian's throat. Right? You don't have the right to do that. That's when it goes from individual rights to affecting mine. And all Tulsi Gabbard said is, yeah, we shouldn't be saying birthing people. We should just say women, pregnant women. And so now they're like, oh yeah, well, she's a fascist. Yeah, she's a fascist. She's a white supremacist. It's fucking weird. She's like mixed race. But if you disagree with the walk, they instantly call you a white supremacist because they know it's a slur. Because most people are like, yeah, that's ridiculous, white supremacy. It's like, it's scientifically illiterate and it's unfair because you judge people who you know nothing about based on what they look like. So almost nobody is a white supremacist. But because to be one is to be ignorant, they call you it straight away, like straight off the bat, the first thing to go for. Oh, you disagree with me slightly on one issue, white supremacist. It's fucking childish. It's childish. And if Rotten Politics has pointed out exactly what I'm going to get to, how do they police it? It's like something like this is literally the only time this can occur, unless you're a fucking Frenchman on Viagra. 99.99999% of this occurrence is in a private setting with a private partner in a private place, naked. Yeah, unless you're a devout Mormon and you're going to shag her through a hole in a bedsheet. It's as private as that. It's an intimate thing. Even bootnecks who get naked quite frequently were not really comfortable shagging in public, right? And they think they should pass a law when this type of thing, it's 2021. Condoms are not new. This type of thing has always been dealt with by women, policing the shit for brain bloke that they brought on. And if he pulls this, they go, fuck off. Like, they take it upon themselves to sort the issue out. And again, it wasn't a problem in the 70s and the 80s and the 90s when everybody used condoms because the women weren't programmed to be pathetic and spineless and weak and never rely on themselves and expect the state to fix all of the problems for them. Like I said, my nana fucking stabbed people. She was hard as fuck. She tackled a serial killer in the fucking middle of the supermarket and called him a fucking murdering cunt, uncowed by the man. Because working class women in the old days used to stand up for themselves. They didn't fainting couch feminist the way through life, play the victim and always expect, like a fucking caring parent, the state to step in and fix all of your fucking problems. And that is what this law is. It's overbearing, it's unworkable, it's ridiculous, it's state overreach. How are you going to police it? And if she calls the police and says, oh, basically, I was shagging a bloke last night, and halfway through, he took his welly off, and then I didn't notice, so now I want him arrested. What's to stop him going, no, I didn't? What are you going to do? Like, are you going to fucking do an exorcist crawl, like a crab walk to the police station with jizz all over your thighs? I don't know how they're going to police it. It seems to be just another example of overbearing wokists pushing more and more private incidents into the hands of the state and saying, you fix this, because if I have to, it's hard work. I don't want to stick up for myself. I don't want to sort things out on my own. Let's let the state do it. And the state aren't the best at fucking doing things like that, are they? Same as they're not the best at raising your children. My mum used to go mental. Yeah, they did used to. They used to stand up for themselves. Women who used to go, like, if you slap a bird's ass in Middlesbrough, the bird will turn around and punch you in the face. That's how they were trained to stand up for themselves, to look after themselves. It's been a good show tonight. Thank you, Mark McCoy. Clearly a man of breeding and good taste, unlike me, who occasionally sleeps in bushes, has rats gnawing on his eyelids. It's just shocking. It's a great example of what I've been talking about for years. And Paz and RP, and we got a problem, and Sargon and everybody else who's normal, reasonable YouTube. It's state overreach in every aspect of your life, and they're never going to be happy. They constantly move the goalposts, like they did Not much rage tonight. Bit hungover. Yeah, I'm a bit more confused and struggle to marshal my thoughts as much. Also, I'm slightly losing my voice. Maybe that's dehydration or something. I don't know. But it's a class example of them. Just total overreach. They want them involved in every aspect of your life. Teaching your children, basically, and with the pandemic's proven, that they think your kids belong to them. They're not your kids. You don't decide what goes in your kid's body. They do. They teach them, they educate them, they train them, like they're doing in Scotland, a fucking brainwashing of the likes of which Chairman Mao would be fucking proud in Scotland. It's unbelievable. It's historically illiterate indoctrination of kids north of the wall. So I disagree with rotten politics about this. They've done such an intensive level of brainwashing, lying to kids in Scotland. I think Scottish independence is inevitable. I think within 5-10 years, you're going to have almost all of the country will despise English people. They'll have an irrational, illogical hatred for them because they're teaching them to hate. They're bringing the kids up in Scotland. We've always gone on about teaching people to be responsible and caring and kind and considerate. And they're teaching Scottish kids in schools as children the English are evil. They're not saying they're basically the exact same as you, genetically even, because we've been fucking for 10,000 years. They say, no, they don't just want to be left alone and raise the kids and live a long, happy life the same as you do. No, they're evil. It's in their DNA. They're evil. It's what J.K. Rowling said about it. Said it was like the fucking mudbloods on Harry Potter. The brainwashing, Craig Hewitt, I'm telling you, Google Scottish education indoctrination. I swear down, they've been teaching them fictional history. Like everything that's ever gone wrong, it's because the English are evil. They didn't teach them, oh yeah, the whole reason we ended up in a union is because even fucking 400 years ago, we couldn't balance the bastard books and we sank 50% of the nation's wealth into a failing colony that totally went tits up, and then we were basically bankrupt. And that's why we fucking went into the union, because we had no money. Robbie Burns talked about it, right? Bought and sold for English gold. That's the fact. And nobody who's a reasonable, normal, run-of-the-mill conservative like me will say, shit, the English have done plenty of dodgy shit. Perfidious Albion, we all know that. But again, it's balanced. There's a reasonable middle ground there. England have fucked things up. Scotland have fucked things up. For better or worse, here we are. The solution is not to tell 1 million children English people are a cancer on the fucking face of the earth and you should hate them. And that's what they're going to do. It's the same thing that the state always does as well, though, isn't it? You know, I always talk about why I'm a conservative, why I advocate small changes, because they're not doing a thorough risk assessment and thinking of the long-term issues here. And let me tell you this, revisionism has implications far in excess of where you think they are going to be. Teaching a generation to despise their neighbours will not only cause the independence that you seek. There will be ripples across the pond from those pebbles, those fucking hate-filled, resentful, bitter, spiteful pebbles will create things other than an independent Scotland, like the famous story of the kid in the wheelchair getting beat up in Glasgow because he had an England shirt on. That's what you get when you teach lies to children. They teach the English sent tanks to the Glasgow uprising, Battle of George Square. There was no, I'm sure, it's just lies, outright lies. I read a piece in the Telegraph all about it, and in the Scotsman there was a bit as well by one of their Remain journalists. They're teaching kids hate, or with their mother's milk, they're teaching them hatred. I read a story about them like making a marching band, and they were in primary school, like 6-year-olds, and they're all painted up like Braveheart, fucking going, freedom. Like, I mean, that 50% of that film's fucking fiction. Everybody knows that. Robert the Bruce. And also, because it was Mel Gibson, the villain is gay. He's like villainous, but also in a gay way. It's like, kill the babies. Ooh, ducky. Like, what's that all about? He's just evil. Why did you have to make him camp? He flits between Adolf Hitler and fucking Elton John in that film, the bad guy. He's like, ooh, kill all the Scotsmen. What the fuck? It's like the whole film is bullshit. And they're using Braveheart to indoctrinate a generation of kids. And they don't think that's going to cause any problems. So I think they'll get their independence eventually. But I think it's going to cause all kinds of fucking problems. And we just have to hope the English government, when it eventually happens, stand up for themselves and say, right, you've done well out the Union, the Barnett formula. You have done all right out of it. Yet again, the English aren't perfect, but you've done all right out of it. That stops today. We're no longer toiling to send a slightly higher percentage of our GDP north of Hadrian's Wall. It's not happening anymore. You pay for your own shit. Let's see how they fucking get on. Hadrian's Wall just got 10 for you. Yeah, I do love Trumpy's fucking quote about that. Anyway, that's nearly 40 minutes. My mouth's a bit dry. Like I said, probably dehydrated. I will ensure I drink a lot more fluids and I'll be back tomorrow. All right? Thanks to everyone for tuning in. It was a quiet week. I'm really fucking sick of Brexit, though. I want to stop talking about Brexit. And the only way that's going to happen is if the fucking world changes and the lefty remain a daft cunts, just get over the fact that they lost fair and square 3 times, 5 times. I was going to make a Tyson Fury analogy, you know, because Deontay Wilder's in total denial. Like, he lost 3 times and he keeps going, oh yeah, but he cheated. It's like, you just keep losing. The Remainers lost fucking 5 times, didn't they? Because we had voted to pressure the Tories to have the referendum, voted in the European elections, had the referendum, had another election, and then had another fucking local election. It was like they lost 5 fucking times. 5 times, and they still can't fucking stop going on about it. What more do you need to do? Oh yeah, and well done to Tyson Fury. I love how much cardio Tyson Fury does. At the end of that fight, he looked like he could do another 11 rounds. And speaking as a fellow fat bloke who does a lot of cardio, I'm I have a soft spot for fat blokes that like running. All right, I'm off. Everyone, thanks very much. Like it and share it, all that bollocks. And go and check out Rotten Politics' website. I'll see you all.